Hello, so I'm going to give you a brief rundown on how we created the staining on the panels in the crew compartment. To kick things off, we're going to use the medium grey oil brusher. Everything here is going to be nice and wet. This is essentially wet blending, which is going to give us some really lovely stained and tide mark effects. We're focusing on the outside of the paneling. This is going to help us better define each one, and then as we go forward add in the yellowing into the center. So the medium grey is a bit of an odd colour. As you can see, there is quite a brown undertone to it, but for what we want we can use that to our advantage. So we'll just finish up going around this outside of the larger one, and then once we're happy with what we got, we're going to come in with a larger brush. This has got solely odourless thinner on it, and we're going to blend in, or should we say stipple in, the effect around the outside. For those that have done sort of watercolours, this is what it reminded me of, sort of just coming in and blending it all, creating sort of different gradients and softening up the effect. And you can already see there it's giving it a really lovely stained look, and also we're helping to define each panel, sort of trying to not go overlap, but if we do we can clean it off, that is no worry whatsoever. And then once we're happy with that, we're going to come in with a sort of a hard flat brush, and we're just going to stipple down, and this is going to diffuse the effect, soften up any hard edges, and just give us a nice sort of softer look in the center, gradually building up to the heavier stains on the outside. And you can already see a really lovely stained effect starting to build up. And then in some areas we're just going to come in and lightly dab it with a clean round brush. This is just going to soften up some of those harder ones as well. Pretty good, I must say. So as for the yellowing, we're going to use the yellow bone oil brusher. This time though, this is going to be solely neat, so there is no odourless thinner. But we're going to work solely in the centre and then a little bit inwards of the various stains that we've done as well. We are essentially going to blend the two together. So we're going to bring in that round brush again, and we're just going to gently blend it over and dab it into the areas we want. Difficult to see once it's all blended in, but it does give it a really lovely yellow tone, and it complements that medium grey really nicely. Almost looks like a smoker's house, if you've ever been into one, with smoked stained yellowed walls or curtains. It's what it reminded me of, but a really lovely effect, and just gives it that great age, especially as we're doing an abandoned scavenge build. But here you go, you can see the two complement it nicely. We've done the same on the adjacent panels as well, and it's given it a lovely patchy look to it. And then finally we're going to use some Starship Filth back to the wet blending, but this time we're just going to pick out the edges of the panels. This is going to give us that definition and really highlight the individual panels. So just carefully go along it. I mean, again, if it bleeds over, that's fine. It all adds to the look. And then we'll come down the centre as well. Just going around some of those raised rivets also. You can see there it has really defined the overall. And then we continued on doing the rest of the panels, and this is how it looked. A really lovely aged stained panelling. So there you go. That is how I did it.